So the title that I chose was Harriet, God's Vessel. My name is Aaron Thompson. This is for African American Studies 101 at Palomar College. Like I said, my name is Aaron Thompson. That is a picture of me. I am a business major, currently at Palomar College. I have put in my petition for graduation, and after this semester I will be transferring to Cal State San Marcos to pursue my bachelor's in business. So some of the general things about Harriet Tubman. She was born March of 1822. People are not actually sure what day of March she was born in. So they've just narrowed it to she was born at some point March of 1822. But because she also died in March of 1913, they're not sure whether her birthday was before or after the 10th. So they're unsure of whether she died at 90 years old or 91 years old. Harriet was enslaved the first 27 years of her life, and she was married when she decided that she was going to try to make a break for freedom. Her husband didn't go with her at the time. She was afraid that she was going to be sold to the South and never see her family again, so she decided to take action. While she was doing the Underground Railroad, going back and sneaking slaves out of the South to their freedom, she made multiple trips. The number that I found that she took, I believe, was 13. She saved over 70 people. When escaping slavery, she had to leave her husband because he refused to flee with her. Like I said, they went their separate ways. I think that he was fearful of what might happen if they got caught. Number 4, she was actually born with a different name. Her name was Arminta Ross at birth, but she changed her name to Harriet after her mother, and Ross was her maiden name. Tubman was actually the last name of her husband. So the book that I read was called Moses, When Harriet Tubman Led Her People to Freedom. And before I get into what I thought about the book, just a quick summary of it. It was kind of a spiritual journey of Harriet Tubman and the conversations that she had with God as she was fleeing, and the whole time that she went through that process of trying to make her escape the conversations that she had, the things she was going through. Just wondering if God had forsaken her, if he was going to be with her, when she was being followed by dogs or, anything like that. The book just covers through kind of her perspective of what she was saying to God and what God was saying back to her, of more of kind of a more spiritual perspective of how she felt at the time and how she had felt God was answering back to her and had kept her safe throughout her journey. And how when she arrived in Philadelphia, she thought that she must have been killed and she must have been dead, so she checked herself for wings, wondering if it was heaven because she had finally made it to freedom. Overall, I did think that the book was moving, just to see how many obstacles she had to face just to pursue freedom, how many people were there. People trying to catch runaway slaves, dogs chasing her, following her scent, having to hide in the water, take off her shoes, walking until her feet bled. A lot of that stuff that just was really trying for her. So the first thing I found the story was helpful and optimistic. It was encouraging because it was centered around her relationship with God. It was more her inner monologue of how she had felt and when she was losing courage and when she was losing faith and the possibility of freedom, and when her faith helped her to restore that and to keep pushing forward. The second thing, overall throughout the story, I felt as though the story left out a few of the details of her life that, I had heard from other things or that I'd known from previous, just to add like context around why she was escaping, what she was doing, and how she was feeling through that process. It was more of like a spiritual thing rather than why. And the book wasn't really about her doing the Underground Railroad. It was more about her escape and her spiritual journey at that time. The third thing was the story's positive perspective. I feel like somewhat took the weight away from the situation and how like serious it was, and kind of watered down how much bravery and strength she needed like to make it through what she did. And I don't necessarily think that it was unimpactful. It just didn't didn't really put emphasis on the real dangers that she was in. It portrayed that she was fearful, but it didn't say, anything of what would happen had she been caught, or, go into detail about any of those things. But overall, I think that I would definitely recommend this book, but not necessarily as a informational, like an informative type thing for someone who wants to learn about Harriet Tubman. More of a story about hope and bravery coming from within. These were my references. I listed the facts from Harriet Tubman. Those were all found on this website. Moses, you know, Harriet Tubman having the nickname Moses, being the Moses of her people. Moses, when Harriet Tubman led her people to freedom, is the name of the book. The pictures that I used on my slides, this was the illustration that came from, the illustrations came from this link. And then the second page of references, a photograph here was also received from this link, was the candid photo of Harriet Tubman at some point in her life. And then this bottom one is the link to the actual book